Good afternoon. I'm Jasmine Allender, Dean of the Humanities Division at UC Santa Cruz. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to our annual Celebrating the Humanities Spring Awards event for the 2020-2021 academic year. Our annual Spring Awards ceremony gives us the wonderful opportunity to acknowledge students and faculty for their excellence. While I wish we could be in person together today for this celebration, it's great to see all of you here on my screen, and I look forward with hope that we can be on campus together at this time next year. Although we come together today virtually, I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. The land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Awaswas-speaking Weepee tribe. The Amamutsan tribal band, comprised of the descendants of indigenous people taken to mission Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during Spanish colonization of the Central Coast, is today working hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from historical trauma. As I come to the conclusion of my first year as dean, I want to express my gratitude to everyone at UCSC for welcoming me and for all of your work in meeting the formidable challenges that have confronted us over the past year. The losses have been profound and can overwhelm any sense of gain or glimmer of progress. But today we gather together to celebrate the achievements of our students and faculty. These are accomplishments that would be impressive under any circumstances, but given the events of the past year, they seem all the more profound, and they certainly are deeply meaningful to me. To all of the award winners, I celebrate you and the work that you've done. You have shown us yet again how the humanities can sustain and transform us for the better, even in the most trying times. Before we begin, I would like to thank the humanities staff for their work in building the Division Spring Awards website and in making this event happen. Rafferty Lincoln, Carrie Napolis, Judy Plummer, Blanca Rodriguez, and Angela Thalls, as well as students Oscar Lycan, Priscilla Tapia. And I want to extend my gratitude to all of the staff, faculty, and students in our departments and programs who have contributed so much to the success of the Humanities Division. We could not do this without you. I'd also like to recognize the work of the Humanities Institute. In addition to public events, the Humanities Institute supports faculty and students as we work together to produce cutting-edge, humanistic knowledge that enriches our lives and our world. Next, I'd like to say a few words about how this virtual celebration will work. Following remarks from Chancellor Larive and the presentation of a few awards, we will turn to a pre-recorded video of several additional award presentations, which will last about 35 minutes. Once the video concludes, we invite you to return here with a big round of applause for our award recipients. You will then be warmly invited to share any toasts or congratulatory remarks to extend our celebration. Your microphones are currently muted, but you will be allowed to unmute just as soon as the video ends. We encourage you to set your Zoom settings to gallery view, and the chat is open for you to add congratulatory messages throughout our celebration. Thank you. I now have the honor of introducing our 11th Chancellor, Cynthia Larive. Chancellor Larive has a deep commitment to student success, inclusion, and equity, and is a genuine champion of the humanities. I'm personally grateful for her leadership during this difficult year. An accomplished bioanalytical chemist, she came to UC Santa Cruz from UC Riverside, where she was campus provost and executive vice chancellor. Before Riverside, she was a chemistry professor at the University of Kansas. A first-generation college graduate, Chancellor Larive earned a bachelor's degree from South Dakota State and a master's from Purdue, both in chemistry. She earned her PhD in analytical chemistry at UC Riverside. We are happy she's able to join us this afternoon and thankful for her support of the Humanities Division. Please join me in welcoming Chancellor Larive.
Well, thank you so much, Jasmine, and it's just a great pleasure to be here with you today. As Jasmine highlighted, I'm a chemist kind of through and through, but you may not know my husband is more of a humanist. So he's retired now, but spent his life dedicated to teaching literature to high school students and is a real Shakespeare fan. But and so I've benefited from that in my home life. I'd like to congratulate all of today's award recipients, students and faculty both. I'm just delighted to celebrate with you. The circumstances we all found ourselves in this year, with most instruction remote and so many of us working from home, they were certainly challenging. But we're resilient. Our teaching and learning continued, our research and creative activities continued, and great achievements allowed you to shine even through the clouds of the pandemic. It is such a pleasure to recognize the work you've all done. That speaks to your commitment to yourselves, to your colleagues, to UC Santa Cruz, and to the humanities in general. Science has just been front and center through much of the past year. Lab results, clinical trials, efficacy rates of COVID-19 vaccines are topics that many of us can now speak about intelligently. But science alone is insufficient to the tasks ahead of us. The continuing challenges posed by COVID-19 go well beyond the answers that science can provide. Research can identify the huge disparities in COVID's impacts among people of different races, ethnicities, and types of work, but it can't eliminate them. And what do we make of vaccine hesitancy, the reluctance of a surprisingly large number of Americans to take any vaccine, however effective it may be? To address these issues and so many more, our society needs scientists and health professionals to be informed by and infused with a range of human insight, experience, and values. We need more than science. We need humanities and the arts today more than ever. And in fact, humanities and humanists have never been more important than they are at this very moment. Our global pandemic, while hopefully winding down, has had an outsized impact on the poor, on the Black and Latinx communities. After the murder of George Floyd by a police officer in Minneapolis, American society is grappling with the appalling yet inescapable history of racist harassment, assault, and murder of Black Americans by police that stretches back generations. The humanities helps us make sense of what it means to be human in our national and global context and gives us the tools we need to address the most profound issues of our day: race and identity, power and privilege, ethics and justice. The humanities teach us the critical skills needed to navigate an increasingly complex world. Skills like critical thinking, reading with care and writing, creative expression, deep research and investigation. And the humanities provide historical context. Most importantly, though, they help define our future. And all of you are being honored today, faculty and students, because you are at the forefront of this important effort. I am so proud of the work you do and the difference you are making. I'm delighted that the Humanities Division has created a new annual award to honor distinguished undergraduate alumni. This is so important. The list of our humanities graduates who've gone on to do impactful, important work is long, and more people should know of their sizable accomplishments. I congratulate Professor Jeffrey C. Stewart as the recipient of this inaugural award. It is richly deserved. I'd also like to offer my congratulations to Janet Dinishak, recipient of this year's John Dezicki's Faculty Teaching Award in the Humanities. This is a great honor and one that I understand is deeply deserved. In closing, I would like to say a few words about our terrific humanities dean, Dr. Jasmine Allender. Dean Allender arrived on campus in August. Well, saying arrived on campus is more than a bit of a stretch. As you know, we were in the depths of the pandemic at that point, and our campus was about to be evacuated because of an encroaching wildfire. I can't imagine a more difficult introduction to an extremely important role on our campus. And I want to pass along my gratitude and deep appreciation for her efforts since she arrived. Jasmine has already proven to be a warm leader and a strong communicator who, in a short time, has made positive changes in support of students, staff, and faculty in the division. This, despite the challenges of working remotely and not having the opportunity to build relationships in person. I am excited by Jasmine's vision for the humanities on our campus and by her ability to move that vision forward. So thank you again for inviting me to today's festivities, and congratulations to all those being recognized.
Thank you, Cindy, for those extremely generous and kind words. And thank you for joining us today for the celebration. As we prepare to honor many of our students for their academic achievements, some of whom will graduate this year, we thought it was time to start a new tradition of honoring our undergraduate humanities alumni. We also felt it was important to hear from one of our exceptional humanities alumni about their pathway beyond the forest. The Distinguished Humanities Undergraduate Alumni Award recognizes the transformative achievements of our undergraduate banana slugs who have led extraordinary lives and significantly impacted our world, and joins the Graduate Division's Distinguished Humanities Graduate Alumni Award. I am delighted and honored to now introduce Professor Jeffrey C. Stewart as the inaugural recipient of the Distinguished Humanities Undergraduate Alumni Award.
Thank you, Jasmine. I hope you can hear me.
I can.
You can?
I can absolutely hear you.
Okay.
May I say a few words of introduction before I turn the
Sure,
microphone
yes, I
over
don't
to you?
want to barge in, so yes.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you,
hard
Dr.
to
Stewart.
navigate this environment, so
I agree. Welcome to my world and all of our worlds for the last 10 months. Dr. Stewart, a first-generation college graduate, earned a degree in philosophy with honors at UC Santa Cruz in 1971 and went on to earn his PhD from Yale University in American Studies. He's now professor of Black Studies at UC Santa Barbara, where he is focused on issues of race and culture as they relate to art, history, literature, music, and philosophy. The long list of Dr. Stewart's honors, awards, and accolades is extraordinary, but I suspect he may be best known for winning both the National Book Award for Nonfiction in 2018 and the Pulitzer Prize for Biography in 2019 for his book, The New Negro, The Life of Alan Locke. It also won additional prizes, including the 2019 James A. Raleigh Prize from the Organization of American Historians and the 2018 Black Caucus of the American Library Association Award for Nonfiction. Dr. Stewart is also a curator, producing 2 major exhibitions with accompanying scholarly catalogs, including Paul Robeson, Artist and Citizen from 1998, that originated at the Zimmerli Museum of Art at Rutgers University and toured nationally. Stewart began studying the Harlem Renaissance while at graduate school in Yale, but I understand that it was a return visit to UC Santa Cruz, professors Maurice Natanson, Norman O. Brown, and Herman Blake that spurred him on. With that, I would like to present the Distinguished Humanities Undergraduate Alumni Award to Jeffrey C. Stewart and invite him to share some remarks. Congratulations.
well, thank you, Jasmine. It's wonderful to be back, if only virtually, and I just am tremendously honored to be recognized by the Humanities Division. I say to some people that after I left Santa Cruz and went to Yale, I always found that I was so well prepared, even though Santa Cruz was relatively unknown to the East Coast establishment. So I really look back on my years as an undergraduate at Santa Cruz as really the most important in my formation as a scholar. I first came to Santa Cruz in the spring of 1969, so it was a while ago, right? But that was before I was enrolled. I was actually at UCLA, and a friend of mine, David Lees, and I were coming up the coast. I think he had a girlfriend that he was visiting, and I was just ready to get away. So we came up the coast, and we were really looking forward to it. I need to get away, but by the time we got to Santa Cruz, James Rector had died 4 days before being shot by the Berkeley police in May of 1969 in the infamous People's Park episode some of you may have heard about. And suddenly, David and I were thrust into the excitement as all the UCs shut down in protest and solidarity of this killing and protest this killing, and also the refusal of the UC Berkeley to allow essentially a garden-like park, which had its own settlers, to exist without being colonized by Berkeley for some reason. Anyway, what was really strange is we sort of arrive on campus, and David and I were asked to speak at rallies being held on campus. And rather remarkably, we were asked to organize the picket line that students had put together because, of course, interestingly, none of them had ever been on a picket line. Right? They were just, so we had all this energy, but no sense of form and how to do it. So in any event, we did that. We contributed. The strike went very well. It was very peaceful. At one point, David and I were walking around, and I was approached by a professor who had been talking with students on campus and a few staff members and about the issues, especially the authoritarian approach to the problem, which had been taken, one probably memorably expressed by Governor Ronald Reagan when he said, "If there's going to be a bloodbath, let's get it over with," unquote. So that was kind of the climate. But the professor also lamented that education had to stop in order to deal with these issues. And that's when I spoke up and I said, no, education is not stopping. It's going on right now, right here, outside the classroom, in the hallways, on the sidewalks. We're educating each other. And so, we talked for a while, and after a while, and I was quite familiar for this kind of discussion because I had been in the BSU, and we spent a lot of time dealing with the critical race issues, as had David, who was in the version of SDS at UCLA. But what was interesting is that Professor Maurice Natanson wrote me a letter afterwards, and he asked if I would come to Santa Cruz and join the philosophy department. There were no black students majoring in philosophy at Santa Cruz at that time, and that bothered him. Think about that. I mean, here's a major American philosopher who wrote me, a black undergraduate he met at a student-led strike, right? And he's asking me to join a department because of his moral sensibility to be inclusive, to not have a whites-only department at UCSC. Well, this was astounding to me. First of all, I hadn't gotten any letters from professors before, so, it was remarkable. And also, I decided to go. And I decided to go in part because in those days you didn't have as many liberal arts requirements. So I had really taken all the philosophy classes that I was eligible in the 2 years I had been there. And I was only really waiting to stay on to take a course from Angela Davis. But I was unable to take that course because, of course, Reagan and others fired her. So I thought, well, and then also having been in the BSU at UCLA, things had heated up, and Bunchy Carter and John Huggins were killed on campus, on Campo Hall, at a BSU meeting, one that I was actually supposed to, but I hadn't been there. Having grown up in Chicago, where murder was quite common, I knew my mother would never forgive me if I got killed at UCLA, which was supposed to be a site of white privilege, right? I mean, she was not going to accept that. But what strikes me now, especially in the context of me speaking to you now in 2021, is that I believe I also moved because I have been embraced by a professor who thought my ideas and my abilities were worth him and the university investing in. It's also striking that Maurice Nathanson took this action because he felt morally compelled. He wasn't being forced by any diversity initiatives to do this. He wasn't being pressured by any administrators to meet certain goals. I mean, how many can say that now, that they reach out to an individual black student and make that kind of commitment to bring me on? Because if I had been a disaster, it would have all been on his watch, his responsibility. And he wasn't just wringing his hands about the absence of diversity. He actually took action. I mean, it wasn't a big action, but it was a small and very significant one to do something, to make a difference. He did it out of his conscience. He wasn't actually also inviting someone who would not disagree with him. In fact, he knew I would disagree with him because I had already disagreed with him, but that was okay. So the impact on me was huge. I had always had kind of an intellectual bent of mine, but it was at Santa Cruz that I really became a critical race thinker. I mean, someone who did sustained research in philosophy, psychology, political theory, because I was in small classes where I could constantly dialogue. The essential philosophical practice from Socrates on has always been dialogic rather than sitting in large classes of 300 students, which is very typical at UCLA. But I also had access to other profound teachers. Particularly the Norman O'Brown that was mentioned earlier, who was a Freudian but classical theorist, with whom I took an independent study and was able to dialogue with him independently about the Freudian implications of the Nation of Islam, right? I mean, I took a fabulous course on cruelty and its victims and saw the black situation in the United States within a kind of long array of cruelty in the Western world. It goes all the way back to the cruelty against animals. I mean, it was already a more holistic, nature-based notion of humanism that I was getting there. I studied with Sheldon Wolin, a major radical political philosopher, fresh off from publishing his book on the politics and vision that critiqued the way American democracy had declined from the ideals that it had been launched with. And I learned so much from the students in my classes, the staff, people like the philosophy department secretary Sharon Taylor, or the drama student Peter Fitzsimmons. People who essentially were wrestling with what does it mean to be a thinking human being. And I also learned a lot from watching J. Herman Blake, who was then a professor and later provost of, it was supposed to be Malcolm X College, by the way, but it ended up being Oaks College. And learning from him how to navigate in a predominantly white environment and still keep one's fealty to the basic convictions that led him to become a professor in the first place. But here's the other thing. I never felt that it was alienating being at Santa Cruz, because at that time there was a critical mass of thinking black students in theater, sociology, political science, music, art, who were strong. I mean, not just people taking up diversity space, right? But critical minds who engaged with faculty and administrators and made it an exciting kind of learning environment. One of my best friends was a man who had left Monterey and who had actually founded the Black Panther Party there, and yet came up and engaged in the kind of theoretical discussions we could carry on with Blake, with O'Brown, with Nathanson. But Nathanson's embrace of me said something powerful to me about Santa Cruz. That he was willing to reach out and change the life of a black student was really a kind of beautiful act. And I think if we can scale up to the kind of direct, empathetic, but self-enlarging agency to make Santa Cruz even today capture some of that vibrant intellectual energy. I'm sure it's very vibrant today, but there was a sense of specialness about the fact that it was really diverse in terms of the numbers of black students, although at that time I think Blake was probably the only black faculty. Maybe there was one other faculty member. Uh, so it was really very important to me. And what I thought was particularly profound is that faculty at Santa Cruz seemed to welcome and want to learn from students as well. They weren't sort of this kind of banking philosophy of pedagogy where they just to download information into students. It was dialogic, and it gave us a sense of criticality that was shared and engaged in that I found was very powerful. Uh, and so my whole conception of what it meant to be a thinker changed when I was at UC Santa Cruz. And I think UC Santa Cruz does that better than any other university I have been at to create a sense in which you engage in long discussions, deep thinking with peers. You take difficult stands, you argue, and you have professors who trick you out of your intellectual laziness, which I think can come very easily. I had shifted from the kind of activism that I was doing at BSU down at UCLA to what Fred Moten calls study, with a group of people, really reading texts very carefully, writing long essays, engaging in the kind of theory I thought would make a huge change in the world. Finally, what I want to say is that Nathanson's investment and commitment to me didn't change once I had graduated. When I returned from Yale after a year of doctoral work and I asked his advice about a topic I had chosen, he was extremely helpful. I mean, we were debating between whether I should do another study of George Herbert Mead, who was part of the pragmatist tradition that I had studied with Nathanson earlier on, or should I start a pioneering study of Alan Locke, a little known black philosopher? His response was immediate: do Locke. I think he said that in part because one of his mentors had been Horace Callan, the Jewish philosopher and student of William James, who had founded the New School of, later called the New School of Social Research in the 1930s, that had actually hired Locke at a time when basically Locke couldn't teach in a mainstream American university because of the institutional segregation. Together, the two of them, Callan and Locke, had worked on this concept of cultural pluralism, which is so popular, at least rhetorically, today. Nathanson was committed to me growing intellectually. And when I finished my biography of Locke, and of course, Nathanson had ascended by this time, and it won the National Book Award, I had an opportunity to reunite with Nathanson's legacy when I learned that his book on Husserl, a kind of intellectual biography, had won the National Book Award in 1974. Here again, the key was that research went into his book, made it something more than just enough. It became something large, and he gave me that sense. Now, of course, after I won National Book Award and the Pulitzer Prize, and I was going up to San Francisco to accept the American Book Award from the Before Columbus Foundation, which was created by Ishmael Reed, that I realized the connection between what Nathanson was doing and what Locke was doing. For the concept that Nathanson took from Husserl and advanced beyond was the notion of the epoche, the concept that essentially the need to be able to step away from the taken for grantedness of everyday life and look at your experience with fresh eyes, to decolonize one's eyes and see it outside of the ideological frameworks inculcated into us. And that, I realized, was what Locke had been doing. Okay? He'd been advocating that in the New Negro, someone who could stand outside the brainwashing that goes on in this culture constantly, almost 24/7, to black people about that you've come from nothing, that you be nothing, that you've brought nothing, to take a step out of that and see with fresh eyes what in fact you had done. For Locke and Nathanson, that place that offers that epoche more regularly is in the arts and the humanities. It's the space in which black people have created, without question, spectacular music and poetry that the United States still begins to struggle with, but sometimes honors today. And what was most spectacular about it is that, it's something that continues to lie, to become part of our basis. But here's the second epiphany I had. I realized that Santa Cruz was my epoche, my stepping away from the conflicts at UCLA between the Black Panthers on one hand and the US organization on the other, a conflict that led to these horrific murders on campus, to step away from that and begin to answer the question, what can I add to the solution of these persistent problems and questions that's unique to me? And the time out of time that Santa Cruz gave me to become serious about what my gift could be, what became to make that contribution more through scholarship, through teaching, through leadership within campus and cultural communications. And without the epoche of Santa Cruz, I doubt that I would have ever found that. So I come back to you today and thank Santa Cruz for that gift, and also for the gift of this Humanities Award you've bestowed on me today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stewart, for sharing your inspiring and resonant remembrances. And yes, please, everyone, join me in a round of applause. Now, to begin honoring this year's award recipients, I'm pleased to announce our Deans and Chancellors Awards for this academic year. The Deans and Chancellor of UC Santa Cruz encourage outstanding scholarship and creativity among undergraduate students based on work developed in courses or programs during the academic year. 10 undergraduate projects are selected from each academic division to receive the Dean's Awards. And from those 10 projects, 3 are then selected for the Chancellor's Awards. The students whose projects earned Humanities Dean's Awards in 2020, 2021 are Vicky Chin, Maya Catalina Gonzalez, Amelia Huster, Avni Lal, Alyssa Rodriguez, Mary Shaman, Jasmine Simone, Kimberly Zito, Matthew Tracy Cook. The students whose projects earned Humanities Dean's Awards and Chancellor's Awards this year are Paula Alexandra Behrman, Jonah Michael Gertz, Yutong Gua, Ashley Ippolito, Sage Brooke Meadows, Noah Nevo, Olivia Catherine Tarango. Congratulations to you all. One more round of applause for them. Thanks to a generous gift from UC Santa Cruz trustee and class of 71 history alumna Linda Peterson, I was able to grant 4 students each with $2,000 awards for demonstrating their passion for the study of the humanities. Please join me in congratulating the following students as recipients of this year's Dean's Excellence Awards: Victoria Crowley, Raul Gonzalez, Anne Nyland, and Graciela Villalobos Martinez. Please, again, another round of applause for them. We will now move on to the pre-recorded video portion of the event. I hope you enjoy this collection of award presentations, and we will see you back here when the video concludes. The Dzikis Faculty Teaching Award in the Humanities celebrates our faculty's commitment to excellence in teaching. The award is named in honor of the late Professor Emeritus of American Studies, John Dzikis, a member of the founding faculty whose powerful ability to inspire and engage generations of students exemplifies our faculty's strengths as teachers. The award recognizes the pedagogical expertise and exceptional mentorship of faculty and supports students' commitments to academic excellence and serious inquiry. I'm very pleased to present the 2020-2021 Dzikis Faculty Teaching Award in the Humanities to Associate Professor of Philosophy, Jeanette Dineshak. For nearly a decade, Professor Dineshak has taught philosophy across the spectrum, from lower division large lecture undergraduate courses to graduate seminars, along with independent studies and directed reading courses with individual graduate students. Jeanette has an enviable record as an instructor at every level. Both graduate and undergraduate students have remarked on Professor Dineshak's particular ability to lead and facilitate class discussion and applaud her facility at creating an inclusive classroom in which everyone feels comfortable. Her syllabi reveal how she carefully structures courses in order to facilitate group work and participation. Today, we honor her outstanding teaching and student mentorship. Students and colleagues offer high praise for her. Quote, Jeanette is a wonderful pillar in the department who cares a lot about the graduate and undergraduate students. She's been instrumental in working with the UCSC Minorities and Philosophy chapter, and this work translates to the classroom and makes everyone feel comfortable and able to contribute. She should be recognized for all of this work, end quote. One of her students remarked that, quote, I would take courses with her that I wasn't even interested in because I knew she would make them interesting. This is the sign of a great instructor to me, end quote. And yet another student said, quote, Jeanette was always willing to spend extra time to help us and created a good classroom environment for discussing difficult issues. Being in her classroom made me want to be a philosophy professor, and I am applying to PhD programs currently, end quote. Congratulations, Jeanette, on being selected for the 2020-2021 Dzikis Faculty Teaching Award.
Yay!
It's a special feature of the Dzikis Faculty Teaching Award that the chosen faculty member is asked to award a scholarship bearing their name to a student who has shown outstanding academic achievement. Professor Dineshak has selected Alyssa Tambora, a senior double major in philosophy and legal studies, to receive the Jeanette Dineshak Scholarship. She contributed the following remarks on Alyssa's accomplishments. Congratulations, Professor Dineshak, and again, congratulations, Alyssa Tambora.
Congratulations to Alyssa Tambora. I'm really happy to have this opportunity to recognize Alyssa through this scholarship. Alyssa is simply exceptional. She is everything I hope for in a student, courageous but careful, extraordinarily incisive, ambitious, curious, and disciplined. Her academic achievements are numerous, but she's also done so many amazing things outside the classroom. Let me at least mention some of the major ones. Alyssa is the energetic leader of Walls to Bridges, a student-run volunteer program that uses mediated meetings between those incarcerated and their family members as a way to reconnect and create bridges between them. And ever since she arrived at UC Santa Cruz, she has been working on the high school ethics bowl events put on by the Center for Public Philosophy. She has coached the Optos and Watsonville high school teams, helping them prepare for ethics bowl competitions. As an intern, Alyssa helped organize both the Northern California High School Regional and High School Invitational ethics bowls. She is also a published author already, sharing her experiences of racism in the workplace and offering insight to fellow Black women facing racism at work. Congratulations again, Alyssa. We wish you much success and happiness as you begin your legal education at Yale Law School this upcoming fall.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Marie Tambora. I am a graduating senior in philosophy, and I'm the recipient of the Jeanette Dineshak Scholarship. Professor Jeanette Denishak in philosophy is a recipient of this year's Dezikis Faculty Teaching Award. I want to give thanks to Professor Denishak for choosing me for this scholarship in your honor. It has been the absolute privilege to be your student and work with you, from learning about Aristotle and Hume to supporting students of color in the ethics school. I appreciate everything about you. You are without a doubt one of the finest educators at UC Santa Cruz. Thank you so much for always supporting your students, including me.
Yay! Nice job.
David Kadish, a history alumnus from the class of 1973, has generously given back to UC Santa Cruz for many years and in many ways, including establishing the David A. Kadish Humanities Scholarship to provide financial support to a deserving student with a strong interest in the study of the humanities. I now have the pleasure of introducing this year's David A. Kadish Humanities Scholarship to Alyssa Tambora. As Professor Dineshak noted, Alyssa has been an active participant with the Center for Public Philosophy and co-authored Shut 'Em Down, an anthology of 20 stories from Black women and their experiences in the workplace. We are inspired by her work founding a nonprofit focused on helping families with an incarcerated family member work their way back to better relationships called Walls to Bridges. Alyssa's work inside carceral facilities advocating for the importance of the relationships of the incarcerated is remarkable. She founded 2 programs offering mediation for system-impacted families, as well as a book program that collected 4,000 donated books to send to children on behalf of their incarcerated family members. To add to her already impressive achievements, Alyssa is on her way to Yale Law School. We wish her every success in her future studies and endeavors. Congratulations, Alyssa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Marie Tambora, and I am a graduating senior in philosophy. I'm also this year's recipient of the David A. Kadish Award in the Humanities. I want to say I'm incredibly honored and grateful to have received this award. I want to give a special shout out to my professors, mentors, and colleagues in the philosophy department, particularly John Ellis, Kyle Robertson, and Jeanette Denishak. Without you 3, my time at UC Santa Cruz wouldn't have been as amazing and incredible as it was. Thank you to the Humanities Department for this award and recognition of my academic accomplishments, my pursuit of philosophy, and my commitment to public service. This award is so helpful and means so much to me. It will help me as I transition from graduating UC Santa Cruz to attending Yale Law School in the fall. Again, thank you so much. Go Banana Slugs.
Yeah. And day. Woo!
Hello, my name is Neda Tanasowski, and I am professor and chair of feminist studies. And it's my pleasure today to announce the award recipient from the Bettina Apteker Award for undergraduate research on sexual, gendered, and racial violence. Bettina Apteker, Distinguished Professor Emerita of Feminist Studies, is one of UC Santa Cruz's legendary professors, a radical feminist, political activist, UCSC alumna, and history scholar with a national reputation. Professor Apteker has reached over 16,000 students through teaching in the department. In honor of and as an extension of her legacy, Professor Apteker established an endowment that supports students whose research, work, or community service relates to sexual, gendered, and/or racial violence. This year, the Feminist Studies Undergraduate Committee selected Amelia Huster as the recipient of the award. Amelia's thesis draws upon theories of intersectionality and histories of Black women's critiques of sexual violence in order to analyze the racial politics of Me Too as both a social movement and a media phenomenon. Arguing that media prioritized white women's experiences of sexual violence, Amelia expertly weaves together Black feminist theories, historical context linking racism and sexual violence, and analysis of legal contexts and theories that exacerbate harms experienced by women of color facing sexual violence. Congratulations to Amelia.
Hi, my name is Amelia Hester. I want to start off by thanking Dr. Bettina Aptheker, who I have immense respect for and who introduced me to the field of feminist studies when I was a freshman at UC Santa Cruz. I'm honored to be given the opportunity to receive the Bettina Aptheker Award for research on gender, sexual, and racial violence. This award supports my research thesis, #MeToo, an intersectional interrogation and centering of Black women, which examines, interrogates, and traces the ways in which the Me Too movement has largely centered the white elite while pushing the voices and experiences of those most impacted by sexual violence, women living at the intersection of race and class, to the background. I'm honored to be among the other incredible thinkers, scholars, artists, and activists who have received this award in years past and look forward to seeing what inspiring works come to follow. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yay! Nice work.
Hi, everyone. My name's Carla Ferchero, and I'm professor of literature, and I'm the PI for the Humanities Institute's research cluster on speculatively scientific fictions of the future. With thanks to alumni Peter Koha and James Gunderson for their generous support, the cluster holds an annual campus-wide competition open to undergraduates and graduate students for a creative piece of social or scientific speculative fiction in any medium or genre, but available for review and assessment by a committee and ultimately shared with the public, whether through an exhibition, a performance, a proposed course, or a future publication. I'd like to take a moment to thank alumni Peter Koha and James Gunderson for their generous support in making the cluster and this prize competition possible. Thanks also goes to THI, especially Laura Martin, for her support and assistance, and to the fellow members of the selection committee. This year, the cluster made 2 awards of $1,000 each in 2 categories, a graduate student project and an undergraduate project. We received many wonderful entries, and I wanted to express my gratitude and thanks to all of you who submitted your work for this competition. The winner of the Koha Gunderson Award for a graduate student project in the area of mixed media goes to Aaron Samuel Molenga, a second-year student in the History of Art and Visual Culture Department, for From the Ground Up, Ulo Buto, images in acrylic and coffee on canvas that are part of a planned installation featuring sculptural, visual, and sonic elements. The project focuses on a marriage ritual among the Bemba people of Zambia and aims to explore the effects of African culture and technology on understandings of the world. It combines a look backward toward ancestral practices with Zambia's space project of the 1960s, featuring 3 Afronauts. The committee chose Molenga's submission for its originality, cultural relevance, and its beautiful combination of compelling images and conceptual elaboration. Honorable mention goes to Debbie Duarte, a 3rd-year literature PhD student, for Of Revenge and Futurity, Haunting and Colonial Legacies, a group of photographic images, double exposures, and collages, combining pictures of Mission Santa Cruz, lines of police on campus during the COLA strike, and superimposed written meditations on ghostliness, haunting, and the legacies of colonialism and violence that simultaneously look backwards and forward into the future. The winner of the Koha Gunderson Prize in the undergraduate category is Saul Villegas for Deep Sea Coral 2. Saul's a 2nd-year student in the art department. He submitted an impressive in-progress portfolio of digitally altered archival photographs of the deep sea. The committee selected Villegas as last year's runner-up based on a different project and selects him as the undergraduate winner this year for his creative use of archival photographs, his ability to produce compelling images through speculative design, his articulation of an ecocentric perspective in the lens of perception, and his creative ability to bring science and art together in a compelling narrative and set of images. Honorable mention in this category goes to Teresa Begley, a first-year Crown College student proposing to major in robotics engineering for survival in the age of human machines. Her series of vignettes brings together AI and robotics set in a future world. Congratulations to everyone for your creative accomplishments.
My name is Aaron Samuel Malenga. I'm a graduate student in the Havoc department. I am both excited and grateful to receive the Koa Gunderson Prize in Speculative Futures. My research interests explore the role that museums play in constructing narratives related to the people whose artifacts they house. This particular project is interested in the Zambian space program, as well as a marriage ceremony called Mbusa. My interests also lie in seeing the role that materials play in the reading and meaning of an artwork. My work interrogates issues of representation, belonging, and finding one's voice in narratives that aren't used to chocolate tones. Thank you once again to everyone who made this award possible for me. Thank you to the donors of the award, Peter Koa and James Gunderson, to the Speculative Scientific Fiction Research Cluster of the Humanities Institute, to the Prize Selection Committee, and thank you to my mentor Elizabeth Cameron for believing in me, and to my mother, my rock and my light.
As this year's winner of the university-wide competition for the Koa Gunderson Speculative Futures Prize in Art, I would like to invite everyone to reflect on the meaning and importance of creativity and the opportunities that arise when directing visual energy into reality. Reimagining our physical, mental, and virtual environment creates a sensory-induced experience in which the imagery presented and the imagery imagined coexist, merging into an alternative present. Imagine your visual world fading in and out of paradigms where time and space are irrelevant and where your peripheral vision is expanded beyond its capabilities. Deep Sea Coral 2 is a multimedia project featuring curated archives from nearly 20 years of deep sea exploration of ancient denizens of the deep. Where does the line between the past, present, and future blur? How can we create a moment to alter our understanding of a subject based on contextualized imagery? Thinking beyond our visual field requires imagination, speculation of how and why someone's environment creates alternative paradigms. The present series Deep Sea Coral 2 reimagines the deep sea dives as an opportunity to visualize the abstract nature of the ocean. Utilizing the archives from submersible equipment and photography recreates scenes. Digitally enhancing the imagery allows the viewer to experience those opportunities of coming into close contact with creatures of the sea. Coral in their varied environments tell us a story through chemicals accumulated through time in their protein-based branches. What can these findings tell us? Access to these archives presented a way to look into a future environment not yet explored. We could begin to think of our ocean's vastness as a parallel to the subconscious and the infinite possibilities coexisting in alternative perspectives.
Yay, everybody.
Hi, I'm Martin DeVecca. I'm a professor of literature and the director of the classics program, and I'm here to announce this year's winner of the Sol Esther Drasnin Memorial Scholarship in Greek. That scholarship was established by James W. Drasnin, who graduated from UCSC in 1977 with a double major in politics and classical studies. He studied with some of the greatest professors at UCSC, Norman O. Brown, John Sharr, Harry Berger, Audrey Stanley, and Bob Meister, among others. And his narrative evaluations from that period testify that James was a wonderful student of Greek and Latin literature. There is a theme in those evaluations, his desire to take on large questions, to do everything at once, to have, if this is possible, too many interests. One evaluator writes that James's journeys tend to be experimental rather than crisply formulated. His intellect draws too quickly near to its desire. In 1998, James decided to create a memorial to his parents, and this is how the Sol and Esther Drasnin Memorial Scholarship in Greek was born. 2021 marks the 23rd time the scholarship has been awarded to an outstanding student of Greek literature, and in particular, the introductory Greek curriculum. The faculty in classical studies are delighted to award the Sol and Esther Drasnin Memorial Scholarship in Greek for 2020-21 to Jamie Loomis. Jamie Loomis is a junior transfer who joined us this year and immediately signed up for the classics major. And I first encountered him actually in an upper level Greek class, which is why when Professor Christina Chu told me that we should nominate him for the Drasnin Award this year, I was a little bit surprised. I thought, well, we usually don't give it to people in upper level classes. We give it to introductory students. But come to find out that Jamie Loomis is actually just starting Greek this year. He's just advanced remarkably quickly from working through the introductory textbook to reading whole books in Greek. So we've all been really impressed with Jamie's progress. That on top of his work in Latin at the same time, and Old Persian, and various other side projects in the department. Now, because this whole year has been on Zoom, I've never met Jamie Loomis in person, but I gather from his Zoom persona that he is a talented amateur skater, a guitarist, and an excellent breakfast chef. I'm looking forward to us all getting back together next year in person, and I'll shake Jamie's hand live and congratulate him for the receipt of this reward. But in the meantime, a big digital congrats to Jamie and all the other Humanities Award winners.
Ooh, excellent work. Yay.
Congrats.
Hello, my name is Ronaldo V. Wilson, and I am pleased to introduce the 2021 Kenneth Andrew Graham Memorial Endowment Scholarship recipient, Yaslin Ixel Juarez. The Kenneth Andrew Graham Memorial Endowment Scholarship was established in 2013 by John and Dawn Graham in memory of their son, Kenneth Andrew Graham, a gifted writer and graduate of UCSC's Creative Writing Concentration. The $2,000 scholarship is awarded to a student accepted into the Creative Writing Concentration upon faculty recommendation. I had the distinct pleasure of working with Yaslin in my advanced poetry class. In winter 2021, in Yaslin's poem, The Conqueror's Language, Juarez situates the speaker. My high school English exam is testing me on what I am. I don't know my language and race, but I am much more than my tongue or face. Reminiscent of Langston Hughes' theme for English B, Yaslin explores difference and selfhood in the landscape of learning. Echoing Hughes' speaker, writing to his English teacher. It's not easy to know what is true for you or for me at 22, my age, but I guess in what I feel and see and hear, Harlem, I hear you. Like Hughes, Juarez places education in tension with the speaker's identity. In poetry, often it's hard for students to write about things bigger than themselves, something hard for all of us who write. In doing so, Yaslin reveals anger, humor, and ferocity of critique. In Price of Happiness, she chides Elon Musk. You've brought your $5 billion home on a crumbling Californian seaside cliff. When you're done, you can build another one, sending cops, sending the homeless on the run. Here, Yaslin excoriates not only Musk, but us, all with a tenderness of heart to help us to see our own stark realities. something bigger than us. Yasleen describes herself as having an intersectional queer female identity, giving her a unique perspective from which she creates poetry. I'd agree. I, along with several of her other instructors, attest to the high quality of Yasleen's work, her generous contributions to class, and Yasleen is ever a stellar poet, richly deserving of this award. Congratulations, Yasleen. You deserve it.
Hello, my name is Yasleen Juarez, and I am honored to be the 2021 Kenneth Andrew Graham Memorial Scholarship recipient. I'm a sophomore literature and creative writing student with an emphasis in poetry and interest in film and music. I would like to thank the Graham family, Mika Perks, Ronaldo Wilson, and the rest of the Literature and Humanities Department for awarding me with this honor and providing me with a fulfilling education. As a queer Chicana student in this predominantly white institution, I have often felt insecure about my writing skills and acceptance into the UC system. I was convinced that I would fade into the background with fellow low-income artists who continually face discrimination and lack of assistance. However, this award has helped me realize there are still people in my life and in my department who recognize my contribution to the campus. I know the fight for proper representation and reparations to marginalized communities is far from over, but I am willing to do whatever I must to spread love and opportunities to all UC students. With this financial scholarship, I will continue my college experience with peace of mind and will continue writing about personal and social issues such as intersectional queer feminism, income inequality, and generational trauma. Thank you again for this honor. I wish everyone a safe summer as we transition into the next phase of our COVID recovery plan.
Yay! Nice job.
It's my great pleasure to present the Cadre Award to Alan Valenzo. Alan is a joy to work with. He's been my student all year. He was on the Ethics Bowl team at the regional level in the fall and the national level in the winter, where he represented UCSC at the national championships. I coached the team, and I wanted to say a little something about how Alan was as a team member, because I think it shows why he's such a great recipient of the Cadre Award. So first, Alan is willing to think through his convictions on his feet in a competitive environment, even when he's not sure how that's going to go. So for example, he gave a Marxist presentation on a case to a panel of business school judges. His fearlessness in pursuing his beliefs as best he can, I think, is admirable for a philosopher. On the other hand, he's also very open-minded. So while he has passionate political beliefs, he's willing to admit when there are gaps in his argument, and he hasn't yet figured out how to close. And he was open-minded about alternative points of view and alternative solutions to difficult problems. So Comrade Alan, congratulations. I hope you keep on grappling with wicked philosophical problems with fearlessness and an open mind.
Hello, my name is Alan Valenzo. I'm an incoming senior. I am a philosophy major, and I am deeply honored and grateful to be receiving the Rehan Kadri Memorial Scholarship. This wouldn't have been possible without the amazing faculty in the philosophy department, as well as with the support of my peers and not least of all my family. This scholarship means so much to me because as a philosophy major, sometimes we kind of undervalue ourselves because our skill set doesn't seem immediately marketable in this kind of society. But this is just validation that what we are doing is worthwhile, and I can't express how grateful I am. I would like to thank the community for making me feel so welcome and for teaching me so much and letting me know how much more I have to learn. Once again, thank you for considering me for this award.
Yeah. In a day. Woo!
Hello, I'm Elaine Sullivan, Director of the History Department's Undergraduate Education Committee, and I'm here to announce this year's recipient of the Siobhan O'Neill Memorial Scholarship, created by her sister Patricia and her family and friends to honor a history major with interests that align with those of Siobhan. I'm thrilled to present this award to graduating senior Hannah Stitt. Hannah is double majoring in history and education and plans to pursue a graduate degree in education and become an elementary school teacher here in California. I was privileged to have Hannah in a number of my courses during her time here at UCSC, and she is an outstanding student. She shares my passion for the study of art and archaeology and co-created an excellent public history video project on an enigmatic Egyptian papyrus now in the Turin Museum for my course last year. That's now posted on the History Department's website. She also shares her talents outside our campus, working as a tutor and advisor to high school students in the larger community. So congratulations, Hannah, and I want to thank Pat O'Neill for supporting our amazing undergraduate history students.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Stitt. I'm a senior at UC Santa Cruz, where I study history and education. I was chosen to be the recipient of the Siobhan O'Neill Memorial Scholarship for this year, and I just wanted to say thank you to the History Department for selecting me, and also to Pat O'Neill and all of the other scholarship donors for making this opportunity possible. Thank you so much.
Yay! Nice work.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nathaniel Deutsch, the Faculty Director of the Humanities Institute here at UC Santa Cruz, and it gives me great pleasure to announce this year's Undergraduate Research Fellowship Award winners. First, we have Brandon Castro, a film and digital media major, whose project was Sancho and the School of Quetzalcoatl. Lucy De Silva, an independent studies major, The Blacklist Revisited, Jewish Screenwriters' Memories of the McCarthy Era. Logan Fitzsimmons, a psychology major, Queering the Cowboy. Jonah Gertz, an intensive history major, whose project also won the Bertha N. Melkonian Prize, the relationship between SCAP, the development of narcotics control laws in post-war Japan, and the Huarapan Age. Maya Gonzalez, an intensive history major, Remember Us, Holocaust Representation in European Jewish Emigre Film, 1942 to 1945. Sage Michaels, an intensive history major, Okinawa Memories Initiative Project History Timeline. Jacinto Salz, a film and digital media studies major, Birthright, a documentary. Kelly Swenson, a literature major, Fulfilling Prophecies Towards an Alternate History of Emancipation. Jessica Valdez Alvarez, literature and Spanish studies major, Art as a Resource for Indigenous Communities During COVID-19. And last but not least, Carolee Valdez Lopez, a Spanish studies major, Language and Identity, Heritage Spanish Speakers' Sense of Identity and Use of Spanish in the US. Please join me in congratulating this year's winners. Thank you.
Yay!